With 24 days left till WrestleMania, we're here for the Reckless Wrestling Podcast, Episode 9. I'm Frankie C. That's Nando. Nando, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. You know, a lot has been happening in the past week, and as you said, 24 days till WrestleMania, and it looks like a big one. A few surprises of what happened on Raw and SmackDown, but we can discuss that right now.
Yeah, I mean, SmackDown wasn't too much of a shock, right? I mean, it's exactly what we said it was going to be. Cody Rhodes coming in there, Seth Rollins, but I mean, 12 minutes for entrances. Out of a 20-minute segment, 12 minutes for entrances. Ridiculous. What did you think about this segment on SmackDown with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes confronting the Bloodline, The Rock and Roman Reigns, and Paul Heyman and Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa leaving the ring, leaving the four of them in there? What did you take away from this?
First of all, let me just say, I don't know how many years, let's say 30 years I've been watching wrestling now. And whatever how many years I've been watching The Rock, that was the greatest Rock entrance I've ever seen. Like, I got to give it to him. That was phenomenal. Like, I wish he'd done that at the beginning of his career when he started saying the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. I thought that was unbelievable. But
Yeah.
like you said, 12 minutes for entrances. We discussed this in the last episode. There was no need for this whole thing of, coming there and talking all this trash. You could have just said on Raw, yes, and that's it. And then maybe, they could have had the segment just The Rock and Roman, and Cody comes out of nowhere and maybe attacks Solo and Jimmy in the ring as The Rock and Roman are leaving or something. Because I doubt that these guys are going to put hands on each other before WrestleMania. I'd be very shocked if The Rock, The Rock slapped him, Cody slapped him back, but I think there's got to be no more hands put on these guys until Mania. I just thought it was a waste of time. But as for Solo and Heyman and Jimmy leaving, they're making out like it's just between you four at WrestleMania. We all know Solo is gonna try and interfere. I think if he does try to interfere, Cena will come in to the save. That's my opinion. What do you think?
That would be really that would be awesome, because we thought that after that Samoan spike attack on Cena in that match, I think in Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah.
And Solo was just decimating Cena. I thought that, especially the fact that he's been building up. Hey, I haven't won a singles match in 2 years, whatever it was, and we thought that it was going to ultimately lead to WrestleMania, John Cena versus Solo Sikoa, a
Yeah.
rematch where Cena could get his redemption. But we haven't even seen anything about Cena except for at the Oscars, where he. I don't know if you saw that or not, but
Yeah.
this satanic ritual that they're putting him through. They make me sick, man. These Illuminati pricks. But anyway, so that would be interesting to see Cena come back and come to the save at WrestleMania, because he did say that he's free that night. So, if he's tweeting that out, that means something's cooking. But speaking of cooking, Cody Rhodes, he finally grew a pair of balls and slaps The Rock back. Now, yeah, I'm just gonna say one thing. This whole thing with all these guys burying each other, it's kind of getting old, especially and Seth Rollins, he really finally grew a pair of balls himself and told The Rock, shut your mouth, this and that. We're basically here to save the WWE from you guys, and all this stuff. It's like it that could have all, like you said, it could have all been said on Raw. This should have just been a segment where they're attacking the Bloodline, and I mean like with weapons. I mean, like that's all you needed was them attacking them. This felt like like I said, it's like the quicker that these storylines go, but it's like the slower that they go. It's not paced correctly. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Does it feel that way
It's
for
not
you too?
it's not like what we were used to when, let's say, for example, the NWO came to the WWE, right? And you had like Austin feuding with them before WrestleMania, and then you saw them spray paint NWO on his back, and then he come in and he took all three of them out. You don't get that old school stuff anymore. Like, the mind games leading up to WrestleMania. You just get this thing where they're in the ring, they're talking trash about each other, talking about their dead fathers and generations and grandfathers or whatever. And it's like, it's getting old now. Like, I'm getting, as much as everybody, a wrestling fan and everyone in WWE and wrestling loved him, they need to just stop talking about Dusty Rhodes. It's getting old now. It's all about
Seriously.
Cody. He has to finish the story. It's not about Dusty. It's not about um how the Rock and Roman are related and the bloodline and the generation this and generation that. Just get on with it. Like, it's getting stupid now. Um yeah, and I'm disappointed that CM Punk ain't part of this, because CM Punk on the mic against The Rock, and we saw that 10 years ago, 12 years ago when it was, he fried him. So that's one thing that I'm disappointed that we missed out on, but is what it is. You never know. He could still make an appearance at WrestleMania, CM Punk, and do something, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, to me, he should be commentating every week. On Raw, he should be a commentator, and uh, you know, maybe have him start a feud with have Drew McIntyre mess with him every week. While he's on commentary, you do that slow build for them, and you have Punk talk trash on certain people that he wants to feud with. But maybe they're just trying these two-man teams, which is fine. But uh, I just want to because we'll get to Raw, but I just want to go into something that we were supposed to go into first here, because there was a rumor going around that Brock Lesnar would be returning. So the whole thing was that Brock, his name supposedly had reappeared on WWE's website, but meanwhile his name was never taken off the website. So this was a big mix-up. There was a lot of people saying, "Oh, he's going to be on Raw. He's going to come back. He's going to come back during the Gauntlet." And you know, we didn't see Brock. Do you think that Brock is going to be coming back anytime soon, if at all?
I'm going to give you a prediction about something, because we're going to talk about it, obviously, on the Raw thing, but I'm going to give you my prediction on the Brock Lesnar thing. I think Gunther is going to retain at WrestleMania, and that's when Brock Lesnar comes out, and I think he takes out Gunther, and that builds up the match for whatever the next pay-per-view after that is. That's just my opinion. Unless he takes out, and we will talk about it, I'm not going to mention his name, he's going to take out Gunther's opponent before Mania, and that's he comes in and replaces him at WrestleMania. But who knows? Who knows what could happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's really unpredictable with all this news with the scandals and everything, Brock being out, and then there was another rumor that Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon were involved in the Vince McMahon scandal. You know, this just seems, because they're basically saying, what Janelle Grant is basically saying in this lawsuit is that not that Nick Khan and Stephanie were involved directly in the actions of this horrible stuff or whatever. What they're saying is that they knew about it all along. So do you think that this is just a witch hunt? Do you think that Stephanie stepped down because she saw all this coming?
Right. So let me ask you a personal question. I think the viewers at home can think about this as well. If you, let's say your father, Frank, was the head of the WWE and you knew he was doing that shit, would you turn him into the cops? Or would you be like, you know what? I'm disgusted with this shit. I'm resigning and walking away and don't want nothing to do with it. Would you do what Stephanie did? Or would you call the police on your own father? What would you do?
Yeah, I probably would resign. And, I'm sure she got a big severance pay. I'm sure she never has to work another day in her life. But
I don't think she
It's
had
just,
to in from day one anyway. But I don't think she done anything wrong. Obviously, if she knew about it and just ignored it and just like, just laughed it off or whatever, yeah, she's guilty. She's as guilty as Vince. But if you find out about what your father's doing and you resign and you're like, I don't want nothing to do with this man or this business, she done nothing wrong. And I don't think that's anything to do with her being part of the scandal. So I just think it's another way to drag the McMahon family name more down the mud and maybe get more money in the lawsuit.
yeah, I mean, that's what this is all about. She didn't get her $3 million payout, and that's when she all of a sudden came out with all this stuff. Money hungry whore. That's what she is. And I don't give a shit what anyone thinks. I'm gonna just say my real opinions. I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm not Mr. Nice Guy here. This is all bullshit through and through. She willingly went along with all this stuff. Oh, we have text messages. Look on the text messages. Look at her being a whore on the text messages. She wasn't resistant. She wasn't saying, oh no, I don't want to do this anymore. You didn't see one text message from that about that. So you went along with all this stuff. She did this to herself, and she screwed everyone along the way, literally and figuratively. You know what I mean? So fuck this Janelle Grant bitch. I hope she doesn't get $1. And matter of fact, I hope she gets jail time for lying her ass off, which we all know isn't going to happen. But of course, you got all the cucks online. Oh, women shouldn't be treated like this. You know what? Women do this kind of shit to themselves. I'm just going to say that. You got yourself involved. So fuck you, Janelle Grant. Anyway, let that off my chest. Because you know what? When I spoke about it at first, yeah, I was a little bit, sad, and I was down about, oh, what is all this and this and that. And then you think about it after a while. You know what? You're a grown woman. You make your own decisions, and whether that's the decisions that she's made, all the guys she slept with, and whatever the hell she was doing, getting shit on her head. Well, guess what? You deserve to get shit on your head because you put yourself in that position, literally. So, anyway. Vince McMahon should not be erased from WWE. Vince McMahon shouldn't be back in WWE. I don't want him back. I don't know about you. I like Triple H running things. He should
Triple
be
H
out of the company.
Triple H is the man, and he needs to stay there. Vince, listen, at the end of the day, regardless of what he did and didn't do, whether he is guilty or not, one way or another, I don't want him back in WWE. Should he be erased? If he is guilty, if at the end it was like that he manipulated her and he threatened to expose her pictures and all this stuff, fine, do it. But at the end of the day, what I believe is you are my mind's gone blank. You are
She's accountable.
Wait a minute. You are innocent until proven guilty. He's in my eyes, he's innocent right now until he's proven guilty. I know the text messages are there, but if he pays up, then is it fair to say he's guilty? Because you gotta stand your ground at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I mean he's simply paying her just to shut her up, just so she goes away. It's not like, oh, I don't want her to expose me, so I'm going to pay her. It's more like, you know what, you're a pain in the ass. I'm a billionaire. You want $2 million, $3 million? Here's $3 million. But he should have just paid the money. But he felt like she had leaked information, and it's like, if you break the NDA, Vince is the type of guy like, all right, you break the NDA, you don't get paid. Same thing with any other contract. When even with wrestling promoters, or any kind of wrestlers, someone gets injured, he's extending their contract. You're out for 6 months, you get that time added back onto your contract. He's a businessman. This man has made so much money. He's made this industry what it is, and quite frankly, he's made more stars than any other wrestling promoter. And one of those stars are actually Randy Orton. And I wanted to ask you, what a shitty transition. But Randy Orton, I wanted to ask you about Randy Orton. He's clearly Logan Paul's opponent for WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's crazy. I think Logan Paul's going to win. And I tell you why he's going to win. Because they announced already that SummerSlam is going to be in Cleveland, his hometown, and he's already talking about he wants Jake Paul, Machine Gun Kelly. He made a joke that he might fight LeBron. The fact that he's talking about this and they're going to build him up as, the homecoming, I doubt he's not going to come as the homecoming king, as you might want to call it, without the US title. So it's making me think, is he going to retain at WrestleMania? I personally would make this match a non-title match, as in I would get Logan to defend the title on SmackDown and Randy screws him. And you're going to be shocked. I'll get him to lose it to LA Knight. And I'll have LA Knight versus, and we're going to talk about that, AJ Styles for the US title, in my opinion. I think that would make it a big match, in my opinion.
Wait, so you're saying that Logan Paul defends the title on SmackDown, Randy Orton screws him out of the title when he defends it against LA Knight, and then LA Knight goes on to face AJ Styles? That would be awesome. You just know that with Triple H's booking, as great as it is, it's so slow burning, and they're just take forever. Like they milk storylines. It's like, oh, let's be careful with this, and I like the slow burn, but not this slow. That would be a great twist and turn in the road. That would make things really a lot more interesting, because things have gotten kind of boring, in my opinion. And speaking of boring, and speaking of LA Knight and AJ Styles, LA Knight called AJ Styles boring in a promo. I don't know if you saw this backstage promo.
I did.
With LA Knight. And he called him AJ Mild or whatever, because AJ went on SmackDown, had that little promo. He's gonna humble LA Knight and all this stuff, and you just saw LA Knight smash up a TV. This is another example of it could be a great match, but it's like, why are these guys not in matches? Why are they just talking every week?
Exactly. You got this great roster, and you're not using it, and you're just doing some stupid matches on Smack. This is why I barely watch SmackDown sometimes, and I will admit that there's times I just watch the highlights because there's nothing great happening right now. It's not like back in 2000. When was it? 2002, 2003, 2004. When they had Benoit, Eddie, Rey Mysterio, Batista, John Cena. When SmackDown was the best show. Now it's just, you got this great roster and you're not using it right.
Yeah, even with the Cody build-up, the Seth build-up. Hey, why don't you even have a tag team match? Cody Rhodes teams with Jey Uso, who he's, teamed with before. They had won tag team gold in the past.
Yeah.
Have them team up against Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. It's right there, bro. Or even Cody Rhodes versus Jimmy, and then Jey shows up and stops Solo from interfering, and in turn costs Jimmy the match. Make things interesting by booking these guys against each other, crisscross them. You know what I mean? That's how I would book things. You talk about like video games in the past, SmackDown versus Raw 2006 or whatever it was. There was GM mode, and I would be facing whatever one of my friends in this, and we would each book the shows. I either ran Raw or SmackDown and vice versa, and you just make things interesting along the way to build things. It's common sense. This is not a genius thing. So I just think that they need to do a little bit more of that and a little less talking. But speaking of talking, Seth, this is getting really old too, because Seth Rollins, he goes ahead on Raw and basically buries Drew. What did you think about this segment where he's basically telling Drew, I'm not focused on our match because you're the smallest threat. I'm thinking of The Rock. I'm thinking of Roman. I'm thinking of the Bloodline. And way down here on my list, I'm thinking of my back injury, my knee injury. And way down on the list is you, Drew. What kind of message are you sending to the fans with that? What did you think about this burial? In my opinion, it just seems like the new trend in WWE. Everyone just bury each other.
For me, it was stupid because you knew Drew wasn't going to bite and attack him, because if he attacks him and he gets injured, that's bye to his world title fight. So we all know he wasn't going to attack him, and by calling him the new CM Punk and just keep throwing shit in his face. And even when he left the ring, what was it that he said when he left the ring? He said something or one more thing, and it just he had to stop himself from running in the ring. Drew, I don't know. I just found this stupid. I would have rather like Drew. Like a better thing would have been like Drew versus someone. He would have fought someone on Raw, and as he was going for the Claymore, Seth's music hits, and he's getting distracted, and Drew loses. For example, he cost him the match. Like
Yeah,
that would have been a lot better.
He could even get schoolboyed really quick, pull the tights, and maybe even use the ropes. You know what I mean? To pin Drew, because I'm not a fan of the challenger going into WrestleMania doing a job for anyone, but at least that would get Drew angry and maybe go and start attacking him. Like, why is Drew? I mean, think about this logically. The guy has a bad back. He has his knee that is now healed up, as we know, and he did a house show the other day. Why wouldn't you have Drew targeting his knee? Like, not to, I mean, like you said, he doesn't want to attack him and injure him and then lose his world title fight at WrestleMania. But maybe attack, his other knee or do something, man. It's just, it's rolling way too slow for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think by having someone beat Drew, you give them a push, someone that needs it. Like I would have made someone like, I don't know, R-Truth, Sami Zayn, R-Truth, someone to have that push as well. And you could have killed two birds with one stone with that. So yeah, I just find it stupid now. And I think the lead up to WrestleMania, that's all we're gonna get is these segments and these boring segments and not enough action. A lot of bark, but not enough action.
Yeah, exactly. These shows, it's like you have a 3-hour Raw and you're struggling to fill time, and that's another reason why I don't get why these long Bloodline segments have them on Raw. I understand Roman's SmackDown and all this stuff, Bloodline SmackDown, but they're feuding with guys from Raw, aren't they? So why not save those long ass promos that you're doing, taking up time from Naomi, taking up time, cutting everyone else's matches on SmackDown. SmackDown's a 2-hour show. Do that shit on Raw, bro. Like, you're wasting everyone's time and you're making people cut segments. So now their stories are not as interesting going to WrestleMania either. So now you have a SmackDown show that has lackluster segments after that because oh, well, it was supposed to be a 10-minute match. Now we have a 4-minute match. And that's just shit to me, And The Rock, of all people, I mean, I understand Rock equals ratings, but he should know that when he was a rookie, if someone went over their time, he was screwed over, and you didn't have your time to build your stories. So, whatever, man. I mean, speaking of stories, we saw the story of Candice LeRae. I'm sorry, Maxine Dupree getting heckled, if you want to call it that, getting booed at these house shows, and you have these the heroes that have to come to the rescue, like Rhea Ripley tweeting and Zelina Vega tweeting, "Oh, you shouldn't be booing her." Oh, fuck that. If I pay for a ticket, I'm booing whoever the hell I want.
100%.
I'm just going to say that.
That's with any sport. That's with any sport right there.
Exactly. And you know what? That was at a house show. It wasn't on TV. It's not like they're booing her week in and week out. Rhea Ripley doing that, all these people trying to be the white knights and, oh, they got to save her. You know what? You're doing more damage because you're exposing that even more. You're showing the world like, oh, but because no one would have known. Who would have known? Some people on the internet knew about it. Yeah, like you heard about it. You've seen like a little YouTube short clip about it. But in the grand scheme of things, Monday Night Raw, she didn't get booed. You know what I mean? Like no one gave a shit. She came out there for a tag team match. She goes to do the worm that Otis taught her, and all of a sudden Candice LeRae stops her, does this work shoot promo on her, how oh, you're gonna try that move on us, and that's such a stupid move, and you're stupid, and you look stupid, and you don't know how to wrestle, and the internet hates you. And the worst thing that was said was, oh, you luckily your brother is dead and isn't here to be embarrassed by you. I mean, tasteless, stupid, and pointless. I understand blending fiction and reality, but what did you think about this?
I think it's just pointless, bro. I just think they're running out of ideas just to waste time on Raw. And like I said, a lot of bark, not too much action. They could have used this time to give a push to other women. They could have maybe had. I wouldn't even mind the segment with Becky and Rhea, and they would have laid hands on each other. To be fair, over this,
Yeah.
I think they're running out of ideas for the women's division. In my opinion, that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with uh I'm okay with, blending fiction and reality. I actually like that. But in this case, and Maxine, she starts crying and she leaves the ring. And yeah, it could lead to a very interesting story. But at the same time, it's like you even said it. Like, who does she think she is? Christian Cage? And Christian Cage actually uh tweeted about it, or Instagram, whatever he did on social media, and he's like, "Oh, everyone wants to be like me," and it's
I
true.
don't
It's
blame
like,
him. I agree with him. That's the thing. I would think the same thing if I was him.
you actually said it before he tweeted that, So I don't know, man. To me, Raw, and they did focus on other segments too, like the Cody Rhodes. He had an emotional sit down with interview with Michael Cole. What did you think about this emotional state that Cody Rhodes was in? And like you said before, mentioning Dusty Rhodes for the 100th time, doing the cry again. It feels like Groundhog Day around here.
I agree. Look, I get this whole thing, and I love this whole story of finishing the story and all of that. But again, this sit down, again, a waste of time. There was no need for this. I have no words for it because it's just getting boring. It's just getting old. It's the same thing every week, just a different scenario. Whether it's a face to face with the Bloodline and now a sit down with Michael Cole. It's I don't know. They could have done what they used to do in the Attitude Era and get the Bloodline to turn up to his house. And like when Randy Orton went to Triple H's house, or when the big boss man targeted the Big Show and he went to his father's funeral and took the casket. Or the Undertaker. Didn't the Undertaker go to Vince's house or some shit?
Yeah,
Or Austin did, bro. I want some of that shit. Like,
yeah,
set his house on fire. Do something, bro. Like,
yeah. Give me some.
follow his mother to the store and steal her car. Do something. Like, it's just it's getting ridiculous now. Like, this thing just to sit down and you mention your mother and you get all choked up in that. And maybe the tears are real. Maybe they're
No,
real and whatever. But look, I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear about Dusty. Dusty didn't get his had his chance. He didn't fulfill to become the champion. This is Cody's thing. This has nothing to do with Dusty. Dustin, no offense to him, wasn't good enough to become WWE champion. This is Cody's time now. No one in his family should be mentioned. It's just him.
yeah,
So it's just getting too much now.
yeah. I mean, he mentioned Dusty in his return promo 2 years ago, and that's fine. You want to mention him again on the build to WrestleMania maybe once? Okay. This is just like every week, and now you're crying, fake tears. There was no tears. I don't know if you noticed that, but he was not
Yeah.
actually crying. And there's no need to cry, bro. If you get emotional, cry. That's fine. But to like purposely, you're gonna go out there, and you're gonna talk about this, you're gonna talk about that, and you're gonna start sobbing. no point. So stupid. Really makes. I mean, I get it. You want to get the crowd on Cody's side. He's the only guy that could be this cheesy and still get a reaction, a positive reaction from the crowd, still get cheered. So, but I'm just in. You know what it is? This is more that I'm fearful that if he keeps doing this, that people are going to turn against him because people have said like, oh, as soon as he gets the title, people are going to turn against him. This kind of stuff is not going to help him. That's all I'm trying to say. You know,
Yeah.
there's a place and a time to be emotional. There's a place and a time to mention your father. But when you mention your father every week, every other week, like you said, it's like be your own man. Like you said that even in past episodes, like he needs to be his own man. He needs to be his own man. And I'm echoing what you're saying. I'm agreeing with what you're saying. You know, but if there is one feud that is even slower burning, that we're finally getting a little bit, more along. We're getting a little further along with the storyline. It's Jey Uso finally challenged Jimmy Uso to a singles match at WrestleMania 40. City of Brotherly Love, brother versus brother. We've seen this coming. What do you think about Jay finally laying out the challenge? Was this lackluster?
This match has been rumored since September, and I'm surprised it's taken so long for it to happen. Obviously, it was obvious it was going to happen because um, Jimmy has cost him maybe 2 matches now. I think, if I'm not mistaken, one
Yep.
was against Gunther. I can't remember what the other one was, but it's just
The title match. He cost him the title match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, that as
Against
well,
Roman.
and yeah, and I'm not too excited for this match. It's an Owen versus Brett. It's not like it's Jeff versus Matt. You know,
Yeah.
there's rumors that Rikishi is meant to come back and be the special guest referee. I'm surprised he hasn't come back for anything of the Bloodline because he should have, especially when they turned on Jay. I think that's when Rikishi should have come back. And it's crazy that there was a wrestling event here in Manchester over the weekend, and a lot of people come back like CJ Perry, Sean Waterman, Rikishi. There was a lot of people anyway, but there was a segment in the ring that Rikishi was like, Manchester, acknowledge me. So it was kind of like is that kind of like a hint? And then somebody asked him, there's rumors that you're meant to be the special guest referee. He didn't deny it, and he didn't say yes. So who knows what can happen? But
Well, he's not gonna just shut down a rumor because he wants that buzz. If he'll get more of a reaction out of it if he doesn't answer it, and
yeah,
he'll get traction with that on social media, and then he could go to WWE like, hey, look, getting a reaction. People are wanting this, and basically to solicit himself to, get involved in this somehow, which I think he does belong in this story. You know what I mean? Like we've been saying it, so because make this, like you said, make it interesting. Yeah, he turned his back on him close to a year ago. You know, last year they were main event in WrestleMania, defending the tag team titles against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And speaking of Sami Zayn, though, he's moved on since his tag team title days. He won the gauntlet match on Raw to earn a title opportunity against Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 40. What did you think about this? What?
I'm not happy.
I'll tell you the truth. I think a lot of people were disappointed in a way. Like, I think that the crowd was like, okay, we can go either way because either way we win. You know what I mean? Like, and I absolutely love whenever we're in a scenario like that. The last time I felt that way was it was the Elimination Chamber match where I believe Bray Wyatt and AJ Styles were the final two.
Yeah.
And I said, whoever wins, I'm happier than a pig in shit. I don't care who wins right now. And I love that feeling because it's like, finally, we're not going to get screwed. It's not Roman Reigns coming in and taking the title. And, it was none of that. It was Bray Wyatt. He won, and I was happy, and I was like, okay. So a lot of people felt that way on Raw, I guess, where they were, hey, I'll take Sammy or I'll take Chad. But most people online, most people on the internet, most people in general were rooting for Chad. Like, we want to see Chad. Like,
Yeah.
Chad's daughter was crying during that last Intercontinental Championship match that he had against Gunther. Why not follow up with that? That was,
I agree.
why have his daughter crying on TV if you weren't going to follow up and, have the girl walk out happy, have him walk out happy, have him raise the Intercontinental title, with his daughter on his shoulders, something like that. So, but if you look at the replay, Chad Gable, because remember, he did that roll up, he did that victory roll. And if you really look, Chad Gable's shoulders were not pinned to the mat. Do you think that that's going to be a wrinkle in this storyline where Chad could now be bitter? Maybe. I mean, I don't want to see him as a heel. I want to see him as a babyface, but I want him to stand his ground and be like, hey, my shoulders weren't pinned to the ground. Do you think that this is something that they purposely did? Do you think that Chad's shoulders were off of the mat by accident? Or do you think this plays into the story and makes it a
Who
triple
knows? I
threat?
hope it's part of this story because I wouldn't mind a triple threat match. I really wouldn't. I was rooting for Chad all the way because him against Gunther was an unbelievable. I told you, it reminded me of Angle versus Brock at WrestleMania, minus that crazy shooting star press. But
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Chad Gable, man, and I think he deserves to beat Gunther for the US title, for the IC title. And if they do it as a triple threat match, I'll be very happy with that. I think that'll be an awesome match. But I don't know. You look at Sami Zayn. Look, I get it. Like Sami, um, a while back from 2 years ago, deserved the push, but people have moved on now, and people have risen up and getting that extra push, and actually have got that fan base. And Chad Gable is one of them. So now, where does Chad go from this? That's the thing. Like, it's he deserves to go to WrestleMania. He's been working his ass off, and yeah, it's a shame. But hopefully, it was part of the storyline, the shoulders, and it will be a triple threat match.
Yeah. I mean, look, some people, like with Sami Zayn, I feel like after WrestleMania, he automatically lost steam. Like, like they had the tag team titles, everyone was happy, and then it was like, okay, now what? Some guys, it's like they lose steam right away, or not right away, but eventually they will. Like, I'm surprised that Cody hasn't lost steam, and he's able to maintain his popularity throughout all the bullshit that he's been through, and it's just some people can't, like Chad Gable. It's like, well, what do you do with him now? Like you said,
Well, there is one thing they could do with him, and I wanna quickly ask you. I want to move on to one more match. That's okay with you, because he
yeah.
could be part of this. You never know. They announced that there's going to be a 6-pack tag team ladder match for the tag team titles, and there's going to be 5 other teams that's going to qualify. Now we know 100% one of the teams that's going to qualify is R-Truth and the Miz. Like, is obvious, but there's other teams, and Chad Gable could be part of that. You never know. But my question to you is, could we see the Dudleys in this?
Oh man. If they have a Hardy Boys moment where they just are a surprise tag team and they come in Philly, I would absolutely mark out. I would go bonkers, bro. I would love that. I'll be completely honest with you. Um, could it happen? I mean, look, there's 6 spots, like you said. DIY, I think, will be one.
Yeah.
Like you said, it could be Gable and Otis. Alpha Academy. Maybe you're right. Maybe they did do this because of this gauntlet match, this 6-pack tag team ladder match. But I still think you could have made it a triple threat match, and they
Yeah,
still
I agree.
could. But
Still good.
uh,
I wanted to ask you a question because the moment this was announced, and I don't know what their contract situation is, But a lot of people are saying that the surprise team will be the Hardy Boys. Are they out of contract with AEW? Because a lot of people are saying the Hardys.
I heard that their contracts were coming up, but I don't
Okay.
know when they're coming up, and I don't think that in the next 24 days that they'll be coming up. And the other question is, are both of their contracts up at the exact same time? Because Matt was there before Jeff, and then you had Jeff out for a while because of whether it was his DUI and all this other stuff that he was getting into. And the other question is, especially after wrongfully firing Jeff, if you want to call it that, it's not like he turned around and proved them wrong. Like, hey, I wasn't on drugs, I wasn't drinking after all that. It's like you got a DUI a few months later. So do I trust you now? I don't think so. I mean, if you're Triple H, do you trust that Jeff's going to behave and
Nah.
not get into any trouble? Is it worth that? Is it worth bringing them back, or is it worth waiting a few years and bring them in for the Hall of Fame down the line? And that's pretty much it. I mean, as much as I love the Hardys, I love the Hardys from 10 years ago. I love the Broken Hardy up to the Broken Hardys, but what do they really do when they came to WWE? When they came back to WWE? I mean, nothing really that noteworthy. I wish that it would have worked out with Jeff, because man, he could have been back in the WWE Championship hunt. He could
I
have
agree.
been so much more than he was, and he just sabotaged himself. Maybe he's was dealing with his own personal issues and in a lot of pain, and maybe because they test for pills and all that, and he definitely doesn't want to go down that road, so he turned to drinking. We don't know, ins and outs, but as far as them coming back to WrestleMania, I don't see it. But that is a good question, because we don't know when their contracts are going to be up. But I would love to see the Dudleys. I think that also maybe a team like like the War Raiders. I think the Eric is still injured, so I don't see them in it. So there might be a spot there, but I feel like maybe the Street Profits might be in it, because you have the high flying Montez Ford in there, and Dawkins could do some stuff with ladder spots. So who
Maybe the New
knows?
Day would be part of it, because for me
Yeah,
personally, you can't have a ladder match without Kofi Kingston, man. You can't. He's unbelievable, man. He's one of the greatest ever to do it. Like high flyers out there. So, and another one that's a shame that isn't in it, and I would love to see him in it, is Ricochet. I'd love to see him in that ladder match with someone, but it's not going to happen. He's not tag team with anyone, but there's so many great high flyers that it's a shame we're not going to see them in this match.
yeah. I mean, I have a feeling that they're also going to do that Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and just
Yeah,
whoever's left over, you're in that. That's what that's for, I guess. But they started doing it on SmackDown, so now it's like it's not even a WrestleMania spot at this point. It used to be on WrestleMania, that then it was on the pre-show,
yeah.
and maybe it's always been on the pre-show, but then in recent years it's only been on SmackDown. I don't know, man. You have 2 nights of WrestleMania, but I guess that's why last year they did that showcase match, because they're like, all right, we have all these tag teams, nothing to do, and the night one was being headlined with the tag team title match. But well, I guess we're gonna see what that leads up to. But you have so much going on at WrestleMania. It's a huge card. We will be maybe possibly starting predictions next week, or maybe the week after. We'll see where we're at. Of course, night one, like we said, is going to be main evented by the Bloodline, The Rock and Roman against Cody and Seth. And to me, I mean, see this, and you spoke about CM Punk before. This match would not have happened if CM Punk did not get injured. And that it's arguable. You can say, oh no, well, it would have just been uh, Punk in Drew's spot right now, but I think that the Punk match had enough interest there where you really could have just focused on those two feuding. So,
Yeah.
and I think that they could have gone a different direction with The Rock. I don't think that The Rock needed to be in a tag team match, and I don't think he could have. he could have been involved with the Bloodline thing after WrestleMania, if anything, or maybe get involved in the night 2 main event. Make a surprise. But on night 1, and I'm gonna just say this: fantasy match of the week that I picked is a third generation versus third generation match. The Viper versus the Brahma Bull. Randy Orton versus The Rock. That's a match I would have done instead of this tag team match. I would have had a feud with these two. Randy feuding with Logan Paul. It seems like I kind of don't get it in a way. Like I get that he got knocked out by Logan Paul in the Elimination Chamber match. What real reason was it for Logan to screw Orton? You know what I mean? Like there was no real reason why, because he pinned you. It's not like he did a cheap shot. He beat you fair and square with an RKO. But I feel like this could have been a huge match. They did not have to focus. He could have, even if The Rock stayed saying, where should I sit? Should I sit at the head of the table? Yeah, tease that. Tease it at the press conference if you want. Plant little seeds. Have that little bit of tension. On night 1, maybe even have the Bloodline screw The Rock and have Randy Orton beat The Rock. Yeah. And it puts Randy Orton over. The Rock doesn't need that win. And it gives The Rock a reason to now on night 2 come back and screw Roman Reigns out of that title. And he wouldn't have had to gone heel. He could have stayed a babyface. People would have just been choosing, who they want, who they wanted to, like we said before with Candice LeRae and all these people that, you should be able to boo whoever you want. Hey, with this kind of feud, Randy's over huge as a babyface. The Rock was still over huge as a babyface as of that head of the table segment in January. So, what do you think of this match? How would you book it, and who would you have win it?
I think it's a great match. I would have had it in a way that The Rock came back, and when he whispered whatever he whispered in Cody's ear, it would have just been kind of like, I'm passing the torch to you. And then out of nowhere, I would have not had Roman in the ring. I would have had just Cody. Cody leaves, and out of nowhere, Randy comes behind The Rock and gives him an RKO. And that builds the match. And then just would have been a singles match at WrestleMania. And I would have done it the way you said it, that the Bloodline, not even Roman, I would have had like Solo give him the thumb, the spike, and or you could have had Roman come out of nowhere and give him the spear, and then that's it. And then The Rock comes for the save for the main event of night 2.
Yeah, and I would have Randy Orton go over. And that's not an easy decision, and it's definitely not based on the fact that The Rock's a heel right now, because in this scenario, he would be a face. It's just like, who needs it more kind of thing. And I mean, look, you can argue that Randy doesn't need it either at this point in his career. He's an established legend at this point. We all love Randy Orton, but we all love The Rock. And to me, Orton has to go over as the winner.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, what other way would there be? These are just fantasy matches, and we could see it down the line. We could see this match. It's not like it's too late. We could see it at next year's WrestleMania, for all we know. We don't know how long The Rock plans on staying. We know that we hear rumors that he's going to be there after WrestleMania. He's going to be on TV for the next 2 SmackDowns, I believe. Hopefully they do something, more interesting these next couple of SmackDowns, because, like I said, this has just been getting tiresome. It's been feeling like the same old shit every week. It's like you might as well just click on YouTube clips and keep up that way.
100%.
So, but anyway, we will see what's going to happen. Like I said, maybe next week, depending on how this card shapes. If not, the week after, we could do predictions. And until next time, I'm Frankie C, That's Nando, and we're out.